So, Atif, you do know people would have clicked this podcast thinking that I'm an imam and you're a BBC journalist, and we were once both extremists.
Hmm. Well, one thing is for sure, they are gonna hear that a BBC journalist was basically radicalized as a teenager in one of these episodes. So whether that was me or someone else, they're gonna have to listen to future episodes and find out.
Well, okay, now you've laid the premise. Let's actually start the episode properly.
Yeah, let's play the music.
Hello, I'm Sabah MD, one of Britain's youngest imams.
And I'm Atif Rashid, a journalist currently at the BBC.
So, in this episode, which is the start of this podcast, you're going to find out a bit more about us, what we do, why we do it, and you'll also get a sneak peek into what's coming up in the future episodes.
Yeah, so why don't we start off with what we both do? Sabah, you're a young imam. What does your day job involve?
So basically, it is what it says on the Khan, on the Sin Khan. I'm one of Britain's youngest imams of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, and one of the jobs I've currently been posted in the press office of my community, and I reach out to journalists on a daily basis and be like, look, I'm a young British imam, a young Muslim, born and bred in Manchester. How can I be of help to you? Whether that's giving the Muslim perspective or the Islamic perspective on stories in the media, or just a place for people to go to ask questions about Islam. Because as a Muslim, I feel like I've got a responsibility to defend my faith and
Hmm.
answer people's questions. Because if I don't, I can't expect anybody else to do it for me.
Hmm.
Now, you're a BBC journalist. Your
Hmm.
job's different to my job. What do you do?
Very much so.
What do you do?
Well, actually, it's not that different considering you're on social media a lot. I'm on social media a lot. Although what my job involves is I basically work as a social media producer for Radio 4, and I try to make radio visual because, especially young people, they're not necessarily listening to the radio or watching TV these days. Most people are consuming news and current affairs and content on their mobile phones and on social media. So my job is to make radio compatible for social media and make videos and like assets and graphics and audiograms and stuff. Um, so sometimes I get to go out and film things. Sometimes it's just about making clips and things. But I think we're both on social media a lot, and
Also, sorry, let me just cut in there. This is my chance to plug my own Instagram platform.
I mean, this is
If
not
you're
the
not,
place.
if you're not following me at the Young Imam on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, you name it, I'm there. So I'm making the most of this opportunity to plug my own social media because no one's gonna do it for me. Sorry, Atif, carry on.
All right, now we got that out of the way. So basically, this whole podcast is an initiative by and with the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations. It's a whole interfaith project that we're doing. But going back to what we do, let's hear a bit of Sabah actually, what he does.
Guess my job, I'll give you 20 quid.
Guess a job.
Yeah, 20 quid.
Comedian.
No, really? No, I'm not a comedian, but that's nice, so that's one guess. Okay, what if you don't guess it, then what do I get? One of your earpods. Yeah.
An accountant.
You got two chances, that's one down. No, it's not.
You don't have a job.
Yeah, I've got a job, but I'm not going to rock up here with no job.
Comedian to lawyer.
No, I'm not. Okay, now, so I'm not, and your two guesses have gone. You know, 5 guesses each, you never guess it. A bus driver. I run a marathon, and I do jiu-jitsu.
Actor.
No, I'm not. Really?
A lot of people thought you're a comedian. Are you a
Yeah,
comedian?
I also got someone thought that I was on I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here.
No. Why do you think
It's so
that?
good. If you've not seen that video's on my YouTube. That video did really well compared to the rest of the videos. People really took an interest in that, and it was nice to see. Well, it was nice to connect with people first of all, just the general public, to have that interaction with them, and then when I told them I was an imam, they were like, "Wow!" First, a lot of them didn't even know what an imam was.
Really? What?
Yeah, so I said
No
to them,
way.
"Look, an imam basically is like what a priest is in Christianity is what basically an imam is.
Yeah.
Someone who leads the prayers and
They didn't
so.
know what. So do you think they knew what a priest and a rabbi was?
And when
Possibly.
I explained to them when I said, "Oh, an imam is like somewhat of
Yeah,
a priest,"
they understood.
yeah. So I'm guessing they knew what a priest
But
was.
so no one guessed then that you're a mom.
No, I
But
even
yeah, I mean, you threw them off by saying you do jujitsu and
yeah.
whatever,
Again, I
right?
think they initially thought because of those things. they didn't guess I was an imam, and I also said, look, if you guess it right, I'll get you a coffee or I'll buy you lunch for you. So that was one incentive. But yeah, they didn't guess it. I think a lot of people have these preconceived ideas that an imam has to be someone who's middle aged,
Mm.
um, long white beard, got no banter, like
Yeah.
very serious kind of guy.
Yeah.
When I rocked up, I said, I'm an imam. They were like, wow, we did not
Mm.
expect that. But it was nice to see people's reaction, and they were willing to have a conversation, ask what I do, and it was a nice way to connect with people. So hopefully more of
Amazing.
that down the line.
That's one way of starting a conversation.
Yeah, it's so true.
All right, let's hear a bit clip of what I do then.
Yeah, man, chilling. This is the perfect weather.
And what's your name?
Chad,
And what do you do?
I'm a barber, Ted Baker.
So are you getting more customers?
No, man, it's cutting down.
Does everybody need like a summer cut, do you think?
I think so, man. It's overdue. A lot of people are overdue.
And how do you cope with the heat, standing with the scissors all day long?
Man, it's difficult, but thankfully we got aircon, so it's doing the job all right, man. Plenty of water, man. Plenty of water.
Atif, why did you like say, oh, this is what I do, like it's not important? You introduced your own group like it's so important. Like the work you do is just as important as I do. You're there getting rid of misconceptions as well of different
That's
topics.
true.
Like it's
Well,
so
not.
important.
But I just said this is what I do, as in this is what I do.
I know, but like I should have introduced yours. Like
Oh
this
yeah,
is what
maybe.
my best mate. It doesn't matter. We can carry on. We can let the podcast.
Jolo, why don't you say let's hear
No,
a clip?
we carry. Let it carry on.
All right.
Yeah, this is part of the podcast. Put it in.
All right, fine.
This is the first one. You said cholo here and there. Those people that don't know what cholo means is an
Let's
Urdu
go.
word. It basically means all right. Let's go. Carry on.
Let's go. It's all right.
Anyway, back to the meaty stuff.
Anyways, yeah, so that was basically like a couple of summers ago when it was so hot, and that's just my job is quite fun. I get to go out and I get to talk to random different people and find out what's happening with them, what they're
What's the project which you enjoy doing the most? You didn't load.
It's a tough one. I like going out and talking to people, like doing vox pops and talking to general people. And I don't get to do that enough, but it's fun. But yeah, I like interfaith stuff, and I like hearing human interest stories, like
Yeah,
people about what they're passionate about, what they're struggling with, and you know getting their stories told to a wider audience,
real
and
story.
their issues, real stories, really human interest stories.
And Arctic Vox Pop. Can you tell us what that is for those
Yeah,
people?
vox pop is basically it's like a Latin phrase or something. I think I don't know, but it's like it basically means public opinion, getting the public opinion, and going out and talking to people and just getting a few different opinions and views about a certain topic. So this was basically about how you coping with the heat. That's for
Arctic
Asian Network.
Asian Network.
Yeah, so I did 2 weeks with Asian Network.
How was that?
That's fun. It's good.
Would you do it again?
Yeah, I'd love to do it again.
They might hear the podcast. You better be.
Yeah, so if you're listening, yeah, you can take me on, as a reporter.
Right, Atif, back to the UN project.
Yeah.
Right? We talked about what we do. We both, I've personally experienced hate and Islamophobia. I get it on a daily basis, especially through social media. Hence why I'm so active on social media to try and get rid of those misconceptions and fears. A third of Britons feel that Islam threatens the British way of life. That was a report by Hope Not Hate. Me and Melissa, my wife, we've experienced it on the tube as well. She wears a headscarf, and I've got a beard. And again, that throws people off. And it's sad that it does, but it's the reality of life. What about you? Have you experienced any hate or Islamophobia?
I mean, I'm lucky I haven't experienced any. I mean, my beard isn't long enough, you see. Anyone could look at my picture, But no, I'm lucky, I haven't experienced that much, overt Islamophobia or racism, anything like that. I mean, it's all
Yeah.
been online because I know that, especially, on forums and on social media, and that's where you get it most these days as well. And people are
Yeah.
just, freely open to do whatever and say
People are
whatever they
bored
want.
as well. People are bored. Like, I feel like,
Do you
how
think they're
do you
bored?
have-
That's why they're doing it.
because how do you have the energy to send hate to
Yeah,
people?
it's true.
Unless you're sat around doing, like, I've not actually got time. I would never do it, but I haven't got time to sit about and find people to send abuse to. Like,
Yeah, just yeah.
you've got to be seriously bored to do stuff like that.
Bored or very angry. I
Yeah,
mean,
okay, maybe angry. Yeah, angry as
or
well.
maybe they just misunderstood some of these people, and they're just really like resentful or being fed some,
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if boredom, if you're bored, then why don't you find the time to explore and actually
Yeah, and
analyze
educate
and
yourself,
do
isn't
that?
it?
Exactly,
And
education is
and
key.
and go actually have a genuine conversation with the people who you basically disagreeing with, or you're trolling or whatever. And then
Yeah,
you might find that it's not, I mean, this is what this podcast is all about, isn't it? How
yeah,
people who had these prejudices and might have, been hateful towards certain groups, they actually went out and met them, or had a change of heart in some way or another.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's mainly for me being on social media and on like forums and stuff. Otherwise, I think we're very lucky that we live in a country which kind of, clamps down, in schools and, in workplaces, and has, these rules and things against Islamophobia
Yeah.
and racism things. So that's why I think growing up in this country, I mean, I've been very lucky, at least, where I haven't experienced it in
You were
that
born and
much.
bred. You were born and bred in the UK.
Well, I was born in Ireland actually, but
Oh,
otherwise, yeah,
really?
yeah, born in
I've known you
Ireland.
for so long. I didn't actually know that.
Did you know that? No
No.
way. Are you having a
How old
laugh?
were you when you came to
Just
where,
one
London?
years old. 1 years old. So I was born in Galway. Like it's like
I did not know that at all.
there you go. We both learned something
Wow.
about
Okay,
ourselves
fine, fantastic. Okay, cool.
or about each other. But yeah, and then but I've lived here for my whole life really.
Okay,
Obviously
fair enough.
we're both Pakistani, right? So
Yeah, Pakistani through and through. Atif,
yeah, yeah.
we did a survey, didn't we?
Yeah, so we did a survey, and that is basically the premise of this whole podcast series. So we had to do a project for the UN, an interfaith project, and we had a load of ideas. We didn't know which one would be best, so we just sent this survey out to our colleagues, friends, family, and to ask them what they thought about these ideas. And the first question was, "What is the biggest faith or extremism issue facing the UK?" Kansaba, what do you think? What do you think people said?
Look, I've done my research. I know that people's fear is Islamic extremism.
Okay.
Okay, but I know the facts show that far right extremism is more of an issue. Am I wrong?
Mm. Well, no, you're quite right.
Okay.
Actually,
Yeah.
far right terror was the main thing that people said is the main issue. Then it was Muslim extremism. Then it
Yeah.
was anti-religious sentiment. So these three are the biggest things, you know.
Okay.
Um, which makes sense, I think. And then which social idea was most unique? Like most people, a third of people said hearing from reformed extremists. So this is basically what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
We're hearing from people who have
In
reformed
this
and
in
changed.
this podcast, we try. Well, we are speaking to people who have had quite extreme thoughts or ideologies of a certain
Yeah.
faith group. Um, which we try to find these people and speak to them about what they think was the reason why they had these concerns and
Mm,
how they literally over time had a change of heart, which is the topic of this podcast. How
totally.
they, through their interactions and meeting people, their perceptions changed. And that's why I feel like it's so important for people to listen to this podcast, because there's so many things which even I related to
Mm,
during this podcast, listen to these people's stories, how they're normal people, but how through their experiences changed how they think. And we all go through things in life which
mm,
change our perceptions of people. Whether we like it or not, we have these stereotypes and preconceived ideas of certain people. And it's a fact, we have those things, but it's only through human interaction and organic experiences that we're able to get rid of these misconceptions. So that's why I think I'm going to plug this podcast so hard, because it's so true that people need to listen to this so they can relate to these issues and and,
totally.
and connect with them.
And I think the one of the biggest ways we learn and we also find inspiration is by seeing how others have kind of coped with their difficult situations, how they've got through it. And I think that's why, again, like this is like proper human stories, lived experiences of people who've just sometimes they've just been trapped and gone down a dark path, and then they just realized, that it's really harmful thought process that they're going down, and they had a few experiences. And we see a lot of similar themes as well, people going on travels, people kind of just having a chance meeting with another kind of faith group, and suddenly that just makes them realize that what the beliefs that they held before were not genuine, were not true. Even, well, they were genuine, but they weren't
Yeah.
based on reality.
To be honest, I was actually a bit skeptical when we started this project off, because I didn't actually think people would come forward and tell us their stories.
Yeah, this was the biggest difficulty, I think. Even
Yeah.
before, even our UN facilitator, Costa Lucas, who's been helping set this up. So shout out to him.
Costa's gonna listen to this. Costa, when you hear this, this is honestly, this, you really made it happen, and I hope that you're blessed with goodness in life, because you've reached out to people and you've helped us with this project so
Yeah.
far. You'll
So
hear from Costa as well in one of the episodes. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so he said that you've taken up a very tough but a challenging task, but
Yeah.
it's ambitious. And even I was worried, because we were trying to focus on proper hardened extremists who had
Mm.
joined, and potentially even done some violence, right? And we were trying to find them, but that was very tough to do in a short space of time.
Atif, have you got anything to a sneak peek of what's going up?
I will put a sneak peek of that in the edit.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, all right, here it is.
I'm a great example of how anyone can fall into these sorts of traps because I'm not what people assume would be a target for radicalization.
I feel my lack of education and exposure to Muslims muddled my perception of them. It was that Muslims only live in the Middle East and that they are only extremists.
I see diversity as abundance, not reasons to exclude or fight for the same thing. Because, yeah, we're all human. Like, that is just incontrovertible fact.
Yeah, so a few of the people coming up, really exciting. We've got Drew Miller Hindman, who basically was radicalized by gaming videos, just really innocently watching gaming videos. And then he started getting recommendations for, more and more extreme content. But you can find out more in the third episode of this podcast. We have Alex, who that's not his real name, but he basically had never met a Muslim. He's from Texas. He thought that all Muslims are like extremists and they're all from the Middle East until he went to Singapore and actually lived with a Muslim family.
This story, I interviewed Alex, and it was next level. I
Mm,
got goosebumps now, actually, just saying that. But his
mm,
story was, I never actually came across someone like this, and I reached out on Instagram actually, and he pinged me and said, "Look, I'm willing to talk to you," and it was from there, back and forth conversations, interview. But that is an episode that you're not gonna miss. Like that was
yeah,
spot on.
yeah. And then we've got Costa, like we've mentioned. He is a man on a mission. He's an extremism expert, and his whole life is basically dedicated to just fighting hate. He's like a superhero. He's fighting hate and fighting extremism. So do listen to those. But yeah, this is what's coming up, and it's really exciting. So please do subscribe. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. On Instagram, it's Change of Heart Podcast. And obviously the Young Imam, Sabah Ahmadi, Atif Rashid, and myself. And that's it. Thanks for listening. And hit the subscribe button. Do comment and like, and if you've got a story you want to share, reach out to us.
That's really important. I like that you said that. If someone's got a story which they want to share with us, feel free to reach out to us. That obviously we'll keep it all private and anonymous. So don't worry about people finding out who you are. It's important to get these stories out. That's why we're here. We're doing what we're doing to help people who might be struggling. People might not want to share their stories, but they might hear someone else's story and be like, you know what, this has really helped me. It's
Yeah.
healthy. So yeah, this is a wrap from this podcast. This episode. Tune in for more amazing content. I'm not just saying that because it's our podcast. I'm genuinely saying like it's going to be fantastic. Stay tuned. And any comments or suggestions, like Atif said, leave it in the comment section or whatever. And from my side, I think it's a wrap.
If you have a story to tell anonymously or otherwise, then reach out to us in confidence. You can find me, Atif Rashid, and Sabah Ahmadi, the Young Imam, on Twitter and Instagram. Please do subscribe and post a review. A Change of Heart is sponsored by the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations as part of its Eden program, empowering dialogue and interfaith networks.